Good morning. We had some technical difficulties, so it is now 8:02 a.m. on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, and I call the Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Our first item of business is the roll call. We do have 5 members present, which is a quorum. Item 2.1 is oath of office. We welcome Dave Christian to our commission.
Okay. You know the routine. Raise your right hand. I, Dave Christensen, do solemnly swear
I, David H. Christian, not Christensen, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of the office of Commissioner of Economic Development Authority,
of the office of Commissioner of the Economic Development Authority,
said city of New Ulm, in
said city of New
in
Ulm,
the county of Brown,
in the county of Brown,
and state of Minnesota,
and state of
to
Minnesota,
the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
Thank you. Item 3 is the election of officers. Commissioners, would you like to take this one by one, or should we do it as a slate?
I think doing it as a slate would be appropriate. I am not thinking of any changes, I guess, in the...
Agreed. So is that a motion to keep the same officers?
Sure, yes. I move to retain the same officers as 2024.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think the one thing that we did note is the secretary and treasurer is a one position now. Is that correct?
No, it's still you. It's just there was something different with my position versus,
Oh, okay, perfect.
yeah, you're
All
good,
right, perfect. Then no, nothing else.
right? Isn't that what it was?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.1, EDA December 10th, 2024 minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.1, administrative activities, December 2024.
All right, good morning, President Markgraf and Commissioners. I do have a couple items to highlight for you in the report this month. Note under the Section 8 report that we've been notified that Linderhof Park Apartments has decided not to renew their Section 8 contract with HUD. That contract will expire April 30th, 2025. It's our understanding that HUD will issue us an additional 56 vouchers for those tenants. And I have, since the agenda went out, been in contact with the HUD field office on this. They are applying to the Washington, D.C. HUD headquarters for these vouchers for us. I don't know that any board action needs to be taken to accept the vouchers. I think when a project-based housing project doesn't renew their vouchers, tenant protection vouchers are issued to the local housing authority so those tenants don't lose their rental assistance. So those 56 households will get a voucher from us. They can choose to stay at Linderhof with that voucher, or they can move elsewhere like they could with our voucher. They can choose where they want to live. So we're expecting to find out sometime in March if that application's been approved, so that we'll have the vouchers starting, hopefully May 1st, so those tenants don't lose any rental assistance. Also, the Pipestone HRA has contacted us to find out if we'd be interested in taking some of their vouchers. Their program is severely underutilized, and they would like to not administer vouchers anymore. They have, I think, about 22 vouchers leased, so we said we would be willing to take those and maybe a few extra, so maybe 25 to 30 of their vouchers. They are waiting for the Blue Earth Mankato EDA to notify them if they'll take the remaining vouchers. So we're waiting to hear back from them. So with those changes, if we receive all of these additional vouchers, we would need to hire another part-time housing aide to help manage that increased workload. So the vouchers that we're taking are all, for the most part, being utilized. So it wouldn't help or hurt our program, but it would help the households keep their rental assistance. Were there any questions on that? Because those are some big changes coming for us.
Was there a reason people are dropping the Section 8? Or the HUD, sorry.
As far as
Like
why
where-
Linderhoff is not renewing, or I don't know why they've made that decision. You know, those apartments have been around for many, many years in New Ulm and have been operating as a project-based Section 8. I don't know why their management has made that decision.
Okay. Wondered if there's different regulations coming down that made them want to.
Not that I'm aware of.
And then you said we would have to hire an additional staff?
Yeah, so those vouchers come with funding, and that funding would
Okay.
pay for that additional part-time staff person. None of those positions are paid for with local taxpayer money or city budget. That's all federal funding that we receive to administer those programs.
All right.
And then I just wanted to note under the EDA fund, the city had some remaining ARPA funds that they transferred to the EDA, just over $1,400. So just wanted to note that. Otherwise, are there any other questions?
Seeing none, I will offer a motion to approve the administrative activities report for December of 2024.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.1, EDA, January 14th, 2025 claims list. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I didn't see anything on here out of the ordinary, so I will move to approve the EDA January 14th, 2025 claims list.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is the Economic Development Authority. The first ones, 7.1 through 7.4, are filling the loan programs and various programs that we have. I do have something to bring up before we discuss 7.1 through 7.4. And that is, I would like to discuss tabling those until another meeting, until we have the time to do strategic planning to decide how we do want to spend this money. This is $245,000 that we would be spending otherwise.
So, while I don't disagree for strategic planning, that is something we're going to be doing this year and doing a strategic plan just in general. That I think Heather, we're going to bring that to the February meeting to put out the RFP for that. These programs were put into place over time from 2019, 2020, 2021, somewhere around there, with the purpose of being revolving loans. And we're kind of in that process right now. As you see, most of these programs are below what we would allocate normally. So when you look at home buyer assistance, that's a $50,000 revolving loan fund that we're trying to establish. We only need to put $32,000. And that goes for all three of the programs. The last one, the small business incentive grant, is just a grant, so non-revolving on that. I would recommend putting the money in for 2025 while we go through the strategic planning process, so we can get the funds out, because when we look at the home buyer assistance program, that pretty much gets spent every single year. Get It Ready is fairly close. The only one that I think is underutilized would be the multifamily rehab. And then look at potentially non-funding those in 2026 when we go through that strategic planning process. Because we do have some interest in, I know for sure, the home buyer assistance and a couple for the Get It Ready this year.
I have a question about when you mention the multifamily rehab loan being underutilized. That surprises me because I feel like that should be the most utilized. Do you think it's just a lack of awareness? Because there's quite a few people doing these projects, even downtown, that would probably qualify. It's very low interest. I'm wondering why they're not applying.
I would say probably the cost to rehab is probably the biggest piece.
The ones that are currently under construction, though.
Yeah.
There's a few that are actively renovating.
It depends on what they're doing, because they need at least, for this one, they need at least 2, and they can't be Airbnb. They have to be actual apartment rental units. So that's part of it. The other side is it's purely bones of stuff. So someone could use it, just for the roof, and that literally spends their entire amount there, and they've done nothing to the apartment. So part of it is cost, but again, we do get kind of the same users using it most of the time when they do use it. So every time we do a radio spot, or usually after this meeting, if it's approved, there's uptick in inquiries, but people just don't follow through sometimes.
Okay.
I have 2 questions for Director Jorgensen. The amounts here that are very kind of specific down to the cents, those are to essentially true up what we normally budget.
Right.
For those,
So we
correct?
would leave the programs at their full amount would
Yeah.
be able to go out. This is just the money needed to replenish those programs.
And then that money, if it would not come out this month, say we table it, it would just be retained where?
It just sits in the checking account basically until somebody asks for it. You're just approving the use of those funds. So if somebody would apply for a loan or go through that process, those funds would be available.
And then next month, would these amounts all need to change based on the payments and the changes in the balances, or would these kind of be the numbers moving forward?
I would anticipate they'll keep going lower each year. I mean,
Like each month, like if we don't approve it till next month, would we be looking at these same
it
dollar
would be
amounts?
about the same because these are all based on the year-end 2024.
Year-end 2024, got it.
And they are loan programs. I mean, if the money goes out, it is going to come back eventually, more than likely. So it's not, other than the grant program, of course. It's not just us giving the money away and never getting it back.
Regarding strategic planning, which I know is starting, what is the timeline on that being completed? Like if we table this for a month, would we be able to revisit this next month?
No.
Or
Yeah, it would be a
ideally,
6-month process at a minimum, because we have to put the RFP out. So that would go out after the meeting in February, about 30 days for that to come back and for us to review. So either the March or April, or we have a special meeting to approve the consultant, getting them on board, and then going through that process, which at a bare minimum, probably 2 or 3 months.
Seems to me it would make sense to fund it and then to take action on our findings of strategic planning once we know what we want to do, rather than putting a program that seems to have been effective on hold at this time.
Is there time in February for us to do in-house strategic planning? Look at the city strategic plan and say which of those do we want to move forward with in this year?
Yeah, we can set up a special meeting or right after we'll send out a doodle to do something, kind of a special work study session. That way by the February meeting, kind of we can piece that together. If that's what everyone wants, we can do that.
You want to do that
Yeah.
before the February
Yeah,
meeting?
we can do that one.
Are we able to at least approve the small business incentive grant program, given we've put that out there for 2025 and their applicants? And, I mean, that's not one we would change or adjust, I'm assuming.
Let's go through one by one and we can,
Just in terms of tabling everything, or can we
I
table?
I would say
separate.
let's go through
Some.
7.1,
We'll have to go through
then
each issue and
7.2.
decide which ones to table on
Mm-hmm.
individually.
Okay.
All right, let's go to 7.1, Home Buyer Assistance Loan Program.
Director Jorgensen, what's the balance in that approximately?
So
$17,103.26.
Okay. I'll make a motion to table item 7.1, Home Buyer Assistance Loan Program, until we can meet and discuss direction for the EDA.
Are there any pending applications right now on this program?
I have 2 loans
Someone
that
would
are
be
scheduled
affected by
to
this?
close this month, but that wouldn't be affected because we already
Okay.
cut those checks. So
And they were from the 2024
They
program.
applied
were
in
already- and they were
2024, so
calculated
it's-
into these
right.
numbers.
new applications, I have not received any. So
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Counselors, what are your wishes for 7.1?
This seems like a program to me. I don't necessarily know we should adjust too much, but I don't know.
I'll just say, from a staff standpoint, this along with the grant program have probably been our 2 most popular and active programs. I'm a little worried about the beginning of the year tends to be the busiest getting into the spring, home buying season. So if we are tabling this, I certainly would want to let the realtors and lenders know not to send people my way until it's, been decided. But
All right. I will make a motion to allocate the funds in the amount of $32,896.74 for the Home Buyer Assistance Loan Program.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion
we
carries.
need to do a roll call vote then. Commissioner Kalk,
Yes.
Commissioner Bedker,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Henn,
Yes.
President Markgraf.
No. Motion carries. Item 7.2, Get It Ready Single Family Rehab Program.
$96 that we need to refund, which means it was probably a pretty popular program last year. Is that right? Do we normally use funds?
There were
without-
2 large loans in 2024.
I do have one person that's contacted me that intends to apply. I don't know the dollar amount they want to apply for. So if this is tabled, I don't know if there's enough available for that application, but whatever we decide today, I can communicate to that applicant. Nicole, did you say 2?
Oh, I was
5
I
loans
was
were
thinking of the
funded.
multifamily. I confused the 2 programs.
Yep. 5 loans were funded in 2024 in the total amount of $117,980, and we allocate $120,000. So this program was almost completely utilized last year. We did have a loan repayment come in, also just under $8,500. So with that and what was left, we have roughly 10 or 11,000 available at this time.
Are most people making a monthly payment on this? Because this is a program where you can wait until your house is sold to repay that loan.
Yeah, if
correct?
you're over age 65, you do not need to make loan payments. There's a lien on the house, and when the house is sold, the loan's repaid in full at that time. I don't know how many,
Most are being repaid. I want to say
I
there's
feel like it's
3 or
half and
4.
half
Yeah.
maybe are paying and half aren't over the course of the years.
Bring my spreadsheets with, I don't know, but for sure.
Because are they paying interest on that then, or is there interest accumulating on?
I believe this
Those-
one is a low interest,
A low
1 or
interest.
2%.
But there's not interest accumulating on those 65 and
Right.
older.
If they're over age 65, there's no interest. It just is repaid when the house sells.
So, I mean, in my mind, those might be some of the things that could be looked at in terms of making some changes, not necessarily getting rid of the program, but if it's adding value to the house and they're going to sell that house and then it gets repaid, is that something where it would be good to still accumulate interest, even if it's just 1 or 2% on that population as well? But maybe some questions that could be asked on that program. It's also a little bit larger dollar amount, where we could discuss that a little more. So this is a program that I guess I would make a motion to table until February.
I'm really proud that we have this program to offer. I really think it's a great thing to offer our city. It helps get homes back into the buyer field. Yeah, exactly, the marketplace. I don't know that I would make any changes to it. I like the low percent interest for the over 65, like 0. And then we need to get more homes back on the market because there's just not a lot of supply there. I wouldn't necessarily want to make any changes to this.
I would agree. It feels like we just do things because we've done it in the past without really looking at them and seeing if it is good. And this could very well be a program that we want to keep. I would say 1 month is not going to change what people do if we want to table it.
I'll just note, I am looking on the report here. We have 11 loans out at this time, and of those, 6 are making payments. So it is roughly 50-50. And it is a 2% on those that are making payments, and those that are not making payments, it is 0.
We have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have more discussion? I'm enjoying the discussion we're having so far.
And just to clarify, tabling it doesn't mean, in my mind, get rid of the program or decrease funds. It's, can we make it better? Do we put more funds into this if it's well utilized? Looking at what the interest rates and are for each group. So definitely not, we should get rid of or decrease. Because it is a great program.
So we can have a special meeting before February because it's going to be spring. I mean, not today, you couldn't tell, but people like to get their projects going in spring and they want to have their funding set up. So, but we can approve this in potentially in February?
Yeah, we'll send out a doodle poll to do
Okay.
a special work study session sometime between now and probably the end of the month. So that way we as staff have time to make any changes that need to be made to present in February.
All right. I'm okay with that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.3, multifamily rental rehab program.
I'd make a motion to table this.
We have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I think if we're going to be holding a special meeting to discuss one, that this would be another good one to discuss. I think this is a fantastic program, and I'd be more curious to understand why it's underutilized or how we can push this a little more, especially in certain areas and with strategic planning coming up. This could be a great thing for a lot of people that are rehabbing some of these older properties downtown or other parts of town. So I would second tabling this one.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.4, Small Business Incentive Grant Program Funding.
My thoughts are, we've had these discussions multiple times. We've gone back and forth on it, looking at 7,500 versus 10,000. We are trying to make improvements to this program through giving higher priority to businesses that we are looking to have. I would be fine approving this because we did approve opening the application window in November, closing that application window. I think that this is an expectation, and I am going to make a motion to allocate 2025 funds in the amount of $50,000 for the Small Business Incentive Grant Program.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to mention that we did receive 7 applications. 6 of those would have, met our criteria for the priority businesses, and 1 did not. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that when you're deciding on the amount. So the first 5 that applied will get funded, and the other 2 I'll notify that they won't, and they probably won't be eligible to reapply because they have to be within their first year of business. So next, if we open up the application cycle again at the end of next year, they'll probably be over that 1-year mark. So
Even if we allocate the funds, we could change that potentially for next year, though, where if you didn't receive the prior year, you can reapply. Is that right?
Technically, yes.
And I would agree, we have spent quite a bit of time this past year in 2024 discussing this program, and people are expecting it, so I would not see changes for it.
It's also a small business incentive grant program, not a new business. I mean, it is for new businesses, but yes, we have some flexibility with this because we know that this is the most popular program we have.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.5, EDA 2024 Annual Report.
I will just note that the electronic version's in the packet, but you all received a printed packet as well. It's up to you if you want to go through it or just receive it.
I really liked how this was done last year. It just kind of highlights a lot of the things that are going on that not a lot of people maybe understand. Are there other areas where this is available, this report, if somebody wanted to pick it up and just take a look at what we've been doing?
I have extra copies in my office of the paper version that, if someone wants one, they can come get one. Otherwise, it's online in the agenda packet, but we can put it on the website
Sure.
as well.
The chamber can have as well.
Unless there are any questions, I'll make a motion to receive the EDA 2024 annual report as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.1, New Ulm Business Resource and Innovation Center, Newbrick, fourth quarter report.
8.1.
Oh, sorry, 8.1, Economic Development Activity Report.
President McGrath and
Are we-
Commissioners, thank you for having me. Is this
Just
on?
go ahead and,
Yep.
we got mixed up.
We're on 9.1.
We're good. Hi.
So I thank you for accepting my report for last quarter. I assume everyone has received it and is able to review it. I also submitted our request for additional funding for this, for the future funding for this year. And I understand that you've all accepted that or have seen it, but and then that will be postponed for later after the financials have been discussed. So I'm open to any questions or comments that I can answer for you.
Probably some clarity for me around Initiative 2, business incubation. I wonder if there's a disconnect between what incubation means to me from Newbrick, because to me that's small businesses and working with small businesses. But you've been very clear that small business is not Newbrick's focus, that you're more focused towards the larger business. So I'm curious how that incubation you see working. I mean, it's one of your initiatives, so
Yes.
what are you doing in that area?
We're we're working on developing an incubation center that we've been discussing with 3M, actually, land grant to build a incubator that would basically work in automation and robotics and being able to attract people to work in high-tech businesses that we can then, as startups, can come to New Ulm and create a workforce development for the large industry that's here. And that's ongoing right now. We're just, we've basically completed the study with Corey, and that was all in last year. Spent a significant amount of money, about $125,000 on making sure that that was something that the community needed, and that's all complete. Pretty much there's one more phase to do that, and then that'll allow us to get grant money to actually build the incubator in the city. So, and in the meantime, I have been working with small businesses that have been coming to me, and mostly all the restaurant businesses in town. That's a big expertise of mine. So I've been, as people ask me, I've been absolutely working with them and have done a couple business plans, and that's all moving forward. So that's our goal, is to help the community and build a workforce that is available for high-tech industry. And we know it's going to happen, so.
Has 3M given any kind of update on where they stand from the land donation standpoint?
Well, the land donation is basically complete. There's just some administrative things that have to be done. They went through a plant management change recently, and that's taken a lot of their time. So the new plant manager has been sort of shelved this for a while, and so it'll be probably the fourth quarter of this year is our plan to really be able to get it moving. In the meantime, we're working on plans, and I redrew the whole plan, but the basic plan there includes warehouse space, incubator space, workforce housing, and childcare space. And I think we've gotten the budget completely reworked so that it all makes sense, and I'm just finalizing that to be able to present to them, and hopefully it motivates them, because they need all those things.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I had was on sustainability and the tiny homes, which is an interesting concept and one I thought could work in New Ulm. As you do the pro forma and you start to look at when the income starts coming from that, how far out do you project that it will be before you see income from there?
Hopefully soon. We actually had our board meeting yesterday, and we approved the funding to work on immediately on land acquisition, and I've already started working on the plans for the first ones. What our goal is to be able to get to late spring, early summer, and basically get a land where we can build 2 sample homes, so that the community can walk through, see what these are all about, really understand it. It's just so difficult in just pictures and things to really get a feel for it. So I think we can get them built by the end of summer, and then everyone can see it, feel it, and then we'll sell those at a profit and be able to then, hopefully in that meantime, get a larger parcel and things ready to go, where we already have the drawings, we've already proved the concept, we've proved the budgeting and everything by the end of summer, and made some money, and then be able to actually do a larger project, whether it's on 3M land or other land that's available, or that we get help through the city or other donors as well. So hopefully soon.
Do you have a target population for this? And I think Sioux Falls has a tiny home community that's veteran specific, and it has veteran services and all of that. Are you considering a target population, or is this open for whomever would like to have a tiny home?
It's open, but we really we're not, because we want to really work on workforce. A lot of these, we want to be able to do them as short-term rentals,
Okay.
where workforce can come through. They're just, all these new projects and things that they're doing, they're going to be either market rate or long-term housing. And so it really doesn't fill that gap that we think we can fill by providing short-term, so that, if there's somebody who comes and has a new job here and needs a place to stay for 3 months, they can actually have a nice place to stay for 3 months, and then they can move out. And we can keep them at a lower rate, so that we can work well with the grants that are available as well. So I think it's a completely different thing, but we want them to be really nice and good little communities. And I think when people actually see the product, they'll be like, wow, this is a really great thing. And they're not, the tiny home is it's kind of a misnomer. It's more of a description that fits you into a building code in the size that it is. But when I drive through town here, there's a lot of very small homes on the streets, especially in the early stages of new home. A lot of the homes are very small and in this exact same size range. So it's really nothing different. It's just being able to build them and have space and be different from an apartment I think it'll be a great project, and it'll provide sustainability for New Brick as well.
Any other questions for Newbrick? What are your wishes on 9.1?
I'll make a motion to receive the Newbrick fourth quarter report.
A second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Now, you're welcome. Thank you. Now we'll go back up to 8.1, Economic Development Activity Report.
I just have a few things. Under the Commercial Property Rehab Loan Program, Note 1 loan closed in the amount of $19,430. We did receive one small business grant application during the month of December, and Wendy Anderson's fourth quarter report is attached. She was not able to attend the meeting today, but if you have any questions for her, I can certainly relay those.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion to accept the Economic Development Activity Report for December 2024.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just one more Oh, one more update. We should be closing on the 3 lots by the end of the month. All necessary documentation has been submitted, so the title company's compiling all of that. So closing on those 3 lots should be before the end of this month.
Thank you.
Those are the lots on
Broadway and 4th, yeah.
Yeah, and so with the money that we'll be taking in when that sale happens and the fund balance in the rental fund, that'll be about $200,000 that'll get transferred into the EDA fund at some point, so.
Right.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.